So, what you're thinking is a podcast dedicated to empowering individuals to stand up against wrongdoing and champion ethical behavior through personal experiences and practical problem-solving techniques. We tackle challenging topics with honesty and insight, welcoming all perspectives, regardless of race, age, political views, or beliefs. I'm going to do this on voice recording because it's like I can't even get through a couple of minutes without stopping to laugh. I'm telling you, this guy is very funny. But anyway, so he just said, you ask most women to describe their ideal man. And he said their ideal partner, ideal man. And he said most of them would describe another woman. I'm like, nah, no, I'm not going to agree with that one. All right, hold on. Okay, so he just said, men are men. We were made this way for a reason. And it just made me think about something. One time I was asking somebody, a male, and I said, why are men like that? Why are you like this? And because this one particular person I was asking questions to is, it's they deal with a lot of different women. Just gotta have different women, and they see a woman, that's all they think about, their eyes and they um conversations, their smart remarks and things of that nature. And so I asked him, I was like, why, what's the deal, like, and the only thing he could say was, you would never understand, you know. He was like, I just can't explain it to you. And so then I think about in my relationship, I would, when you're young, everybody, not everybody, I can only talk about me and my relationship. It's like you're jackrabbit type thing. Like you just always, nothing bothers you, everything, you relax, you just want to just be involved and do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. Intimacy, right? But then it gets to a point where sometimes when you start having kids, you're working all the time, and it's like, oh no, like, I'm a working person when you met me. I'm a working person. You still have me. I have kids. I'm not the type that's just going to, just lay there 24 hours a day and let you have your way, blah, 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 blah. So then, but it's, a man is a man. They have their desires and things of that nature. Now, that part is understandable. I understand that part. And it's like being able to reason with the partner, and they understand that I need my bathroom time without you. We have bathroom time together, bathe together, shower together. But there are times when I need my time for me. Sometimes that part right there gets disrespected, depending on the person's how they are. If they're very demanding, or if they don't want to acknowledge or respect that you need your time as well. And so I was just thinking about that on that level, where it has to have respect and not just say and mumble the words that every other woman say or every other man say, this is what you're for. So you begin to think like, so is this the reason I got married, you know, just to satisfy your physical need. It has to be more than just that. That part is very good. Nobody's, downplaying that part. But when it's disrespected and then, you don't look at the woman, or even if it's vice versa, the male, and respect who they are and their time that they need for themselves, then it starts to go downhill. All right. Okay, so now he's up the point where he says, I'm going to break it down. I need you to understand the men's part of it. Men are very simple, sex, simple, and women are more complicated. And that is so true. Okay, so the big part that I love, love, love so much is when he does the man brain and the woman's brain. He put two brains up on the stage and explains them. Now, this is me in every relationship, in every way of life that I deal with people. I am always like, why? Why are they like this? Why? Why? And I'm sure people do the same about me, like, why is she like this? And so he goes into explain that too, and then to say, we say women are this way, men are that way, but the real deal, the one, what's up with the one that you chose, the one that you got, the one that he or she got? You understand what I'm saying? Like, the person that we winded up with, that's the deal. That's the deal right there. It's not every man. It's not every woman, you know? And before I go on, I want to say, talking about intimacy and relationships, I just happen to be heterosexual. I'm a woman. I love men, but I'm not leaving out and, degrading or dismissing those that are same sex or whatever kind of, there's so many different names to call it and stuff like that nowadays. But it's the same thing. And having worked in the hospital, I can tell you that those that are homosexual, they have the same type of problems and situations as heterosexuals. Um, the domestic violence, the same types of love. I mean, things of that nature. Um, but I can't go deep into that. I don't, know much about that. I only know from interacting with people in the workplace, in the hospital setting. And you have to respect that as well. They're human beings. And so that's where I'm gonna leave that part at. All right. He just said, what makes your partner ticks? And now I really do think and believe, and I want to I'm going to, can only share from my experience. If you take something like this and then you put it with people, you find somebody that knows personalities and behaviors very well. Me personally, I would take this and then put it with someone that teaches, a clinical psychologist, like someone I respect so much is Dr. Ramani. And those behaviors and personalities and narcissistic behaviors and things of that nature, along with laughing your way to a healthy marriage, a healthy relationship, whatever type of relationship it is. And in this case, we're talking about intimacy, but also if you do the same thing in any other type of relationships that are not intimate, whether they're, neighborhood, the people in your neighborhood, or family relationships, business relationships, your workplace relationships, putting laughter, and then knowing, your own, number one, your own. I have to always know who I am and why I respond to certain people certain ways, or why I look at certain people certain ways. And then look at, all right, they behave this way, act this way, and this is their personality. Do I accept it? Do I reject it? Do I pay attention to how I feel when I'm with this type of particular person? Things of that nature. Okay, and then he has a session of how to stay married and not kill someone. So I thought of this as the workplace also, how to stay in a workplace that you really, really love and don't want to leave without killing someone, right? And so, not really, really. I mean, for normal people, not really, really, but you get so mad and you go, yo mama this, yo mama that, blah, 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 and back and forth and fuss and cuss and, argue, see who's going to win the argument for the day. And, so this is something that should be considered as well. Like, instead of saying, well, and blowing it off, women are this way, men are that way. One thing I found pretty interesting, it was funny to me, is that he said, people always, want to know his background. And he said, I'm a minister, but don't let that scare you, because some of my biggest fans or biggest, I forget the word he used, followers or whatever, is heathens. He's funny. He's just funny. Okay, so now I do want to say, for me, marriage is wonderful. And as he say, it does not come without problems, which is so true. And then to go even deeper, looking at personalities and behaviors and who is the person that you really married comes out over time. Because sometimes, for example, I don't even know who the hell I am. As life go on and, you have children and just go through many different things in life. Another whole person come out. The same with the person that you're with, a whole another person comes out. So just because it doesn't work out, it doesn't mean that every woman is this way and every man is this way, okay? I'm just talking from experience. So definitely I agree. Many people don't like pew. They don't like cleaning it. They don't like doing it. They don't like smelling it. Shit is shit, right? But you don't just throw people out the door, out the window, off the bridge, just because you have problems. Problems are going to come. It's just that the hard part is knowing when something is consistently toxic, consistently bad, and it has destroyed your whole inner being to where you are not yourself anymore. This is why when it says laugh your way through the relationship, and understand people. And then they talk about this thing of, I hope, they get better. And then you're trying to change people. They're trying to change you. You're trying to change them. It's just that part becomes very risky, And so you go through marriage counseling. We have been through so many marriage counseling, this and that or whatever. But the main thing is, one of the main things, you just got to know how you feel. Nobody can't tell you when to leave, when to stay. That's huge. That's between you and your partner to not allow anyone else into that. Just like they say, you don't allow the in-laws to give their input, or, siblings, or, sisters, brothers, cousins, aunties, grandparents, or whatever, to give their input into your relationship. You know how you feel. But understanding and learning about narcissistic behaviors, personality disorders, and things that are not going to change, like people that are not willing to change. And it's like, it's my way or the highway in every situation throughout the whole relationship, or, the sly, sneaky, stuff that just damages your soul and your mind. It's, that too is like, people will not understand why you don't leave, or why they don't leave. It's an individual choice, and yes, people have to deal with that when they're in those relationships. So they're not always, relationships are going to have problems. But it's like, can you deal with the problems and you're not destroying yourself as you deal with problems? And how, yes, it can be how bad the problem is, but the thing with that is it destroying you as a person? Are you turning into somebody else, that you don't even know? It just doesn't make you feel good. So a lot of this is gut feeling, and it can go deeper as far as all that. So can you have a poo free, a shit free, a dookie free, a no mess marriage, or a no mess relationship, intimate relationship, or a no mess workplace relationship with your coworkers? That's not totally possible. Like 100% no mess at all. Not, that's some delusional stuff, or you sweeping some stuff under the carpet for real. And, but as far as relationships, it's beautiful when you're working together, and then you have, both parties working, or even, I can only talk about both parties working, because he was, both parties were working. And then you have, when one take care of the kids, the other take care of the kids, and things of that nature. And then you have the two incomes, and multiple incomes and things of that nature. So that part can be good and can be bad as well. So I had a thought, but I don't know. Let's see. I don't know what else to say about that, but that part can be good, bad, and ugly as well. And then you have to throw in those personalities and behaviors. Some people are stingy. Some people are just a giver. Some people go above and beyond, and some people don't. And it's like one of those give and take things. Okay, I'm gonna end it on this for this next part, and then start another video for the next part. But it is, I do believe this when he say, married people have the best sex, the best happiness. He mentions that they live longer and things of that nature. But when you look at media, the news, or you with your friends, you think, man, I wish I was single. They're the ones having all the fun. And I totally agree with Mark Gungor on this one, is that when you're married and when it's healthy, the healthy parts of the marriage, you're so much more happier And if it's not a one-sided pool deal, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
I just saw a short video of a young lady saying how she is so frustrated with people bashing men, black men in particular. And I totally agree with her. Like, just because, okay, let me talk about me. If I was in any type of relationship that did not work, why would I want to bash somebody? You know what I'm saying? Like, I can bash myself. Like, this is what I chose to be with. So that's the thing. We can, when we realize we cannot control people, we cannot make people and turn people into who we want them to be. They're not a puppet on a string. And so, you know, sometimes things go sour. It'd be so beautiful and this and that in the beginning. Now, even if I was to, I think, have done the homework in the beginning of, like, if I would have, you know, been to marriage retreats like Mark Gungor and known about narcissistic behaviors and different personality and different behaviors and personalities, and just was so aware at a young 20-something year old, would that have made my decision different? No, I don't think so. With my personality, I think I still would have said, this is somebody that smiled at me. This is somebody that wanted a relationship with me. This is somebody that, you know, I wanted to be in a relationship with, regardless of any red flags I may have seen, you know, or done. So it's just a trial and error type thing. But I don't think that it's a thing where the bashing comes when we don't realize, for me, as an individual, that we cannot control people. That we cannot, because it took me so long to realize what they call radical acceptance. Accept the fact that this is who the person is, and you cannot change them. Radically accept the fact that you are the way you are, and people cannot change you. You know what I'm saying? Up to a certain extent, trying to change somebody totally, and it shouldn't require, you know, when the relationship goes sour or things don't work out, bashing of the other person. Yes, talk about the problems if you couldn't solve the problems, and either party was not receptive to solving the problems to fit your need or for it to fit their need, then why bash them? Even when they have done something that is deals with mental illness. So a lot of times I or people may go into relationships and you know, you're saying, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a mental health provider, like, I don't know, you know, but I don't feel, regardless of how bad things have gotten or instances that have happened, why would I bash? If I come out to bash or it turns out to feel like a bash, no. I would come out with a way to share so that someone can learn from and how to be aware and protect oneself from certain situations, things of that nature, but not to just flat out bash a whole race of people, a whole genetic part of a people, you know, all black people, all black men, all men, all straight men, all gay men, all is a no. To me, is a no. Even when it's the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst situation that has happened. And I have been around men all my life and grown up with the majority of men in the family. So there's no way. That's another reason I can harp on personalities and behaviors and just knowing and learning and how to protect oneself.
So as I'm listening to the part where he talks about the boxes, and he starts with the man's brain and how the man's brain, they are made up of little boxes. You know, there's a box to go shopping, there's a box to go to the mechanic, there's a box for sports, there's also a box that's empty for nothing, right? But anyway, and then he talks about the woman's brain. The woman's brain is like being on, one of those highways where it's just zip, 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 the car is connected to the going shopping, connected to the painting the walls, connected to the, I don't know what else to say. But anyway, it's just always something. And this is connected to that and that. And it's just zoom, 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 zoom. The woman's brain is just constantly going and going and going and going. Like a Duracell battery. It never stops. But, so I'm listening to him talk about that part, and then something came into my mind, and I said, and I wanted to point out how this could have kept me in a marriage for longer than I should have been. One of those things where I've heard Dr. Ramani talk about hope. You're hoping that things change. You hope for this and hope for that. And then I'm listening to this and I'm like, hearing good speeches about marriage and relationships. You hope things get better and are better. And so you got to be careful with that as well. Because you can get caught up into saying this is just how men are, so I'm going to deal with it. So you have to know, not just one way or the highway type deal. You have to know about certain behaviors, certain mental illnesses, certain things about your own self that you will tolerate and not tolerate, that can destroy you as an individual. Like when it starts to take away yourself, and you feel yourself either turning into who the other person is, or you're just not happy with the person that you're turning into. And then also when you start feeling miserable within yourself. It's not the other person. They are just who they are. But, looking at yourself, me looking at myself, if I don't feel good, then there's something that needs to change. Okay, so then you have someone who is an expert on, giving marriage retreats and have done the homework on couples, relationships, right? And then you have those that talk about narcissistic behaviors and being aware, and people that tell you how to protect yourself, right? Then I just thought about something, is the background. You can't leave out the background. So when you get into relationships and you constantly saying, well, what happened, or how was your childhood or things of that nature, or what type of background were you in, right? And you meet the other family members and this and that, but you never know what is hidden. Some people will talk it all out and tell everything, but then it's like, are you ready to handle that? Or are they ready to handle that by looking at into themselves and saying they're really ready to go and get counseling to have to address some of those issues from childhood and things of that nature. So we have Mark Gungor, which is the relationship expert. Then we have people like the one I look at, because there's so many that talk about narcissistic behaviors and things of that nature. But the one that I go to many of them, but the main one I go to is Dr. Ramani. And then as far as the background and the childhood trauma and things of that nature, I look at Patrick Teahan. And that is a clinical specialist therapist. And that's what he addresses, is the childhood trauma, things of that nature. So you have to look at the whole picture, the whole, not just one way or the highway, not just men are this way, women are that way. It's everything, everything, everything. But no one can take away how someone makes you feel on a regular, or how you make them feel on a regular, what you do and don't do, what they do and don't do.